Well, guys, this is going to be part two of the general comma review of the comma 2 by comma AI. This is basically just a drive. It's going to show drive on a regular back road, not too curvy and so forth, and it's going to show you on the expressway. The film is kind of touch and go, but it should give you a pretty good idea. I apologize, there's sometimes when the sun is really bright and all that, but just watch it all the way through, and I will discuss some of my opinions as I'm driving. The final actual discussion review will come on a third video where I will discuss why I sent it back, and I don't have it now. But you know, even though there were some issues and stuff, I will give an honest review of the actual product itself and tell you what's going on. But here is a nice long drive with me bantering and talking and getting a lot of crap from the lady who's filming in the car. All right, here we go. All right, guys, as you can see, it's all installed. I have to have an extra video camera person here, and it's not focusing. There we go. That's focused. Give you an idea what's on the screen. That shows that it sees your face. And let's get started here. Okay, get driving. And she's having trouble aiming. Are we actually recording? Yes, we are. If you see, go like that. It doesn't see my face. That means it won't work. It does. Gives you basic information, speed, and then the top corner right up here, you'll see things like, you know, when you're getting into S-curves and it's not able to take over, and it's going to be a little verbose and so forth. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of videos. You can go in wide mode, please. There we go. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an idea how it drives in regular general city traffic. It does pretty well, all on its own. Basically, it takes over most of your driving. It does not handle any braking. Braking is all done by regular. Forward is more important. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start, first we've got to set it. We set it just like you do on your regular cruise control. I got it set to 25. I set it up now to about 32. And I can let go of the steering wheel a little. See, basically, don't have to show the whole steering, but just basically, it will hold its course pretty well. It does ping pong a little, but not too bad. You can aim forward a little more. And it gives you a little idea of how it drives in the city. Now, keep in mind, all car recognition basically is going to be based, as you see, it says steering control, but it does still see it. It's just trying to keep an eye on things. Now, you're going to find it's going to be a little verbose when it comes to its steering. As you can see, it says exceeding steering limit. It really isn't exceeding steering limit. It's just being a little confused, and it's just trying to make sure you're paying attention while you're driving. But right now, it's actually self-steering all on its own, keeping at its current speed. One of the nice things is once your radar sees a car in front of you, it'll tend to follow the car just like any other one. It does follow lines. It is better with lined roads and much better on expressways. Here I just wanted to give you an idea how it's like in a regular road. As you can see, I got a little bit of a curving coming up ahead. It's not too bad at noticing these things, but it isn't perfect. You just got to weigh your expectations. Now, is it going to see it? Yes. Now it might exceed its torque. See, it exceeded its torque limit. Now I have to take control and center it a little. This is where it has the biggest amount of problem. I'm going to have to stop here, obviously. Now, the issue with this is that the car will drive perfectly fine. However, there's a limit to how much torque that the steering wheel will turn. I believe it's about a 12-degree amount of turn before basically the Bosch system will tell this system that you need to take control. At that point, it won't push the steering wheel any further than that 12 degrees, in which case you can get into a situation where it did avoid an edge. We're going to start it right back up. It did avoid an edge, but the recovery is the biggest problem it'll have because it cannot exceed more than that 12 degrees. So you may have to take over for a recovery. So if, say, the car had to move out of the way like earlier there, it had to move out of the way out of like a median. In this case, it was just a painted median. When it had to recover back for the center line, it wasn't able to push enough torque into the steering in order to do that. So that's something you have to keep as its limitations. That's where its biggest limitations are going to show off, especially when you're in city driving. Now, you have to keep your eyes forward. This thing can tell. In fact, I'm going to turn away and look away right now. As you can see, keep eyes on road. Nope, driver's distracted. Now I'm watching again, and I'm going to do it one more time while she films. Actually, let me increase the speed. And I'm going to distract myself a little. See? So it's always watching you. You can back up. And it's always watching you. We're now going, as you can see, about 46 miles per hour. The car is in full control. You can check the steering every once in a while if you like, sweetie. And the car does actually very well on nice roads like this. If your curves aren't too heavy, it'll handle it not probably. Now, we got a bigger curve coming forward. It may or may not. I don't know if it's going to be able to handle it. Yeah. See, look at this. Look. Beautiful. Now, will it recover? Recovers. It says steering required, but it's okay. It handles it. This is something you're going to have to get used to on this, and it is a bit on the annoying side. It's going to respond differently in other cars, but this is for a 2019 Insight. As you can see, it handles the curves very nicely. Not super heavy curves, and it does get confused at times, but it does it pretty well. You can get some ping-ponging, especially if you have lines you can't see at all, and there's certainly no cars ahead of you. It can get very touchy on that. But literally, right now, aim more towards the steering wheel. I'm not touching the steering wheel at all. I just keep my eyes forward. Make sure you get in some of the screen too if you can. I keep my eyes forward, and it does pretty well. It really does a really pretty good job of driving. It's a lot of fun actually too, and it's kind of touch and go. You know, it's kind of hard for me to put into words what it is. It's almost like a toy. For me, it's like a toy. Although I do have an hour commute. For people with long commutes, now on a road like this is not my typical road. The road I take is even curvier than this and has a lot of hills. Now it can lose lines on hills, and sometimes it might curve a little towards the edge, and you'll have to take over a little.
Can it help?
Yeah, that's the dog. The dog is coming up here. Back off, Daisy. Back. Daisy, back. Good girl.
She's giving me kisses.
Good girl. She was giving kisses to mommy. My other road that I normally take to work, as you can see right now, the car is driving itself completely. It's got full control, steering everything for me, and it's going straight ahead. Now, it's a straight ahead, and we're going about 45 miles per hour, so it's pretty simple. Now, on the other road, as I said, it's got a lot more hills, up and down hills and so forth, where it can lose sight of lines and so forth, and if it's harder curves, it's going to make you take control. It'll help you in the turn, and it'll even take control. But keep in mind, if you get into a hard turn and it makes you take control and it can't handle the turn, and you'll feel it'll take over and it'll continue the turn and you'll let go and it'll work. The problem that you'll notice is that when it gets out and tries to recover from that turn, it doesn't have enough torque in the steering wheel to recover, so it ends up trying to move back the other direction. It ends up bouncing back and forth, and it ends up trying to go off the road the other direction. This is not a limitation of the Open Pilot. It's a limitation of the car and the amount of torque that the Bosch system will allow on this steering wheel before you can do it. There's not much you can really do about that, so you have to be realistic about your expectations on this car and on this system. Now, in order for me to get it hung up there, now you saw the install. I showed you the video of the install. I was able to do it. A few things to know about the install. It's good to have a secondary person, especially on the Insight, to center it so you can put the thing up on the screen. I got to be careful reaching out there because I might block the face camera. In order to center it, the problem is that it has to sit relatively low down the windscreen. It doesn't look low on the video, but it has to sit lower because otherwise you can't see it underneath the rear view mirror. So you have to have somebody who can aim it for you. That way you can keep it center of your camera, which is up here. You can keep it center of your camera, and so you can make sure you're going to see it from your sitting position. Sorry, the dogs are causing trouble right now. Idjit, our little Chihuahua is giving attitude. He wants love. Here we got a bigger curve coming up. We got to see how it's going to handle this. This might be a little bit more, but at this speed, usually these nice rounding curves are not too bad. Also, we're going to see a car ahead. Now, one of the nice things about when it's behind a car, if that car stops and you come to a complete stop, When the car leaves, you don't have to hit the resume button. Even if you've come to a complete stop, the car will resume itself even after sitting for a couple of minutes. It will resume itself afterwards. So you see, it took that curve perfectly fine. It actually works pretty darn well. Now, at nighttime, well, the road I was on, it doesn't do so well in the daytime either. The reason that being is that the lines are incredibly dim on that particular road. And that was the biggest problem I have on that. Let's see if he handles this curve all right. This might be beyond torque limit. Yeah, it's going to make it, though. Now, we have to see how it recovers. It's trying to recover. Now it's bouncing. It's ping-ponging a little. Now, I figure the person behind me thinks I'm drunk. Oh, great. I just got a tire pressure low warning. This damn car. All right, well, I'm going to go find and get the tire pressure taken care of. That's not a problem. I have to do more driving, so we'll find some place to fill the air. But it actually took control and was able to handle the situation. Oh, you know what the problem is? I wasn't paying attention. I'm going too fast. We're going in the 40s. I need to decrease to 35 miles per hour, so this is my bad right here. Now, I've got it back under control, but I've got holding on it, and luckily I found that time for the police. See, we're not allowed to have cameras on hand as myself because I have to be the driving individual. Cell phones can't be used. The person driving can't be using a cell phone, so the popo is sitting here probably watching us. But, of course, I'm not the one filming. So I hit the resume button here. I set the speed to 35. Now, you can actually control the whole car through your cruise control now. Now, here we're going to be seeing a little bit more difficult kind of areas where they're more, little hills, smaller areas, slower speeds where there has to be more angling on the turns of the car. Don't worry too much about that. As I said, there are limitations. It still says exceeds torque and all that, but it's doing just fine. And it's still holding its position. Now, as I said, it's very verbose, and the reason it's very verbose like that and it's constantly causing trouble is mostly because for safety, to make sure, you follow all safety procedures and so forth. And that's something you have to keep in mind. They don't want you crashing. They want you to understand that this is not a fully self-driving system. This is level 2 driving. So it's not going to take over full driving for you. And again, keep in mind, on the Honda Insight, and a lot of Hondas, the Bosch systems, it does not control the braking, which also leads to something else that's sad. Because it has no braking control, so it's not really any real radar control, it doesn't help with the situation of the car running into the back of other cars. So the situation that I've always complained about when you're going 35, we're doing a little ping pong in here as the car tries to figure things out. But it does all right. See, it's steadied out and figured itself out. What you'll find is that you're still going to have that problem where if there's a car sitting at a light and you're going 30, 35, 40 miles per hour, it may not see that car. This system will not fix this problem. It has nothing to do with that system. It has everything to do with the Bosch system that's built into this particular car. Turns out that the Toyota Corolla is real good with this system. Toyota Corolla, it actually can take full control of everything with the Toyota Corolla. You're filming the steering wheel? Cool. So we're getting a nice shot of how everyth's doing. Now, pretty soon we're going to have to find a gas station, check and make sure I don't have actually a tire leak. I think basically it's just time to fill up the tires a little and run them a little. So basically that is where we're at. But the car, this system actually works very well. You're going to have to ask yourself whether it's worth $1,200 or not. It's $200 for the harness. And here we're going to go down a bigger hill. Increase speed to 45 here. $1,200 is what this system costs. It's a lot of money. That is no freaking joke, guys. At $1,200, boy, you're really pushing it. So the question is it worth it? If you do a heavy-duty commute, especially on the expressway, because we're going to do some expressway driving, it might be worth it to you because basically it'll do most of the self-steering on the expressway with no problem. Almost with no troubles. And in roads like this, it does okay as long as the curves aren't too heavy, but it will talk a lot, which could be very annoying. It's something you have to get used to on this system. Okay, so we are recording. All right, guys, now I'm going to show you how it works on the expressway. Now, for people who have long commutes on the expressway, and unfortunately the sun's in our eyes, so we might have to do this.
Yeah.
Is it doing all right?
Yeah, sun's over here.
Okay. On the expressway, if your commutes involve a lot of expressway driving, this thing will be almost a dream come true for you. The car is absolutely fantastic on expressways because it doesn't involve horrendous amounts of, curves, hard curves and all that, and you'll have a lot less complaining from the unit. As you notice, the unit will complain at you about exceeding steering limits. Most of the time, you're not exceeding the steering limit. What's really happening is basically it's just forewarning you that you might be approaching something that's beyond steering limits, or that you need to be ready to take full control. It is a bit on the verbose side, so it can be very annoying, but it's mostly there for safety. As you can see, going right by an exit, no problem with it. Doesn't try to exit, doesn't try to do any of it. It does fine. Now, there's a bit of traffic today. This unit has the ability to change lanes for you. I'm going to show you that when we can get myself out of traffic here, and I'm in a big chunk of traffic here all of a sudden. So what I might end up doing is, it looks like I good. What you do is you turn on your turn signal, and then you touch the steering wheel to the left, and it'll do the turn for you. And there we go. It just did lane change for me. Turn off your turn signal, and now I'm going to increase my speed to 70. I was going 65. That way, at least it looks like it made sense. So that's how the steering change does. Now, I don't know if she caught it on video or got close to the thing. She probably didn't. She probably just showed this. You showed the steering wheel doing? Is that what you did?
I tried.
What did you show?
I don't know. So do it again. Get over yourself and do it again.
Billy. Oh, God, Henry, what's wrong now?
Not a thing, Wilma. Everything's just fine.
No, just... All right, we're gonna change lanes to the other side. Turn like that. And I'm gonna touch the steering wheel to the left and change his lanes like that. Turn off your thing, and boom, all set. Now you're in your lane. Now here it's kind of trying to hog a little into the runoff lane, but it did pretty well, and it handles it pretty well. Did you get that in it when we were doing it?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if they can see it.
Well, then do me a favor. Go ahead and do a close-up thing. Hit the close-up button. Hit the close-up button. That'll help you out. Is it close?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I can't tell if it's focusing or not. All right. So we don't even have to say anything. We're gonna do a lane change in a minute as soon as there's fucking room. Okay, you can go back to regular video. Or extended, like widescreen. Okay, now we're just regular driving, hitting a curve. It says it needs steering, but everything's doing fine. This is a heavier curve, so it pushes the torque capabilities of the car to its limit. Now, it does ping pong a little in curves like this, but not too bad. Once it chills out and it figures out exactly what the line it's trying to follow is, then it does just fine. As you can see now, we're doing fine. It's all copacetic. It'll straighten out. It can get a little hairy at times. You have to get used to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to be changing lanes again. We got to wait for this past this other car. Don't worry, you can film wherever you want. And we're going to change lanes, and I have to hit the gas because this jerk off won't let me over. So unfortunately, totally messed up. Lost connection because I had to hit the gas to get by. Let's see, if you hit the gas, yeah. If you touch the gas or you touch the brake in any way, even the gas, so to increase speed and so forth, it'll disconnect the the comma 2. So you have to keep that in mind while you're driving. So if you want to stay in cruise control and you want to do lane changes, you can't suddenly hit the gas because some is in your way. You're just gonna have to move over. So basically, on the expressway, it works pretty well. It's great for people on long drives and so forth. See, we're getting into a nice sweeping long curve here. Not a problem. Just got to keep your eyes forward and watch where you're going, and that's what makes it makes it great and so forth. So if you're doing a long drive on the expressway, trips, I figure a trip to New York, except once you get into New York City, I'm not going to have you take control all the time. You'll find this thing's going to be very useful and very helpful for you. It will take a lot of your strain of your driving off of you, and it'll keep you going. It's just comfortable, makes it a lot easier. And now I'm just babbling like a fucking moron, and there's really nothing to say. Okay, that's the end of this video. Sorry it's so long, but I wanted to give you guys a good idea of what the drive was like and what it was capable of doing, and I really didn't want to do much editing on it, so you would actually see it in its entirety. Yeah, it's pretty good on expressways with Hondas. Seems like it's better with Toyotas, mostly because of their systems. So for long-term driving, long expressway driving, it might be pretty good for you, but it's still pretty darn expensive. So if this is enough for you to make your own decision, that's fine. There's a bit more. As you know, I'm a bit of a tech junkie, and while I could afford it and not afford it at the same time, I sent it back. And there's a very, very specific set of reasons behind that. They go into what's the big problem with the comma 2, and it's not really the technology that's the problem. So I will try to get deeper into that, what it was like taking it out of the box and setting it up and so forth, and what the problems were in the next video. That one's going to be a little harder for me to put together. It's probably going to be a lot more disjointed because of my memory, not remembering things, not being able to say things. So you guys hang tight, and I will have that out to you as soon as possible. And take care. I hope this video helped you out. Verdier out.